Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Rebecca, the creator behind EY Becca. It is finally time I film a tutorial on how to upcycle a pillow sham into your own one-of-a-kind tote bag. This is one I made last time I filmed an upcycle tote bag video. This is the bottom of it, and I absolutely love how the sides match up perfectly. And as you can see, the straps are also made out of the pillow sham as well. So I will be showing you how to do that for your own tote bag. Last time when I posted of me making these, I didn't anticipate for so many people to enjoy the video, but a lot of people were disappointed. Needless to say that I didn't also include a tutorial on how to make your own. A couple of the reasons why I didn't include it, one, I was still learning how to make my own. That was the first time I actually turned a pillow sham into a one-of-a-kind tote bag, so I was actually still kind of learning. It was a trial and error type situation there, and I also didn't think so many people would be interested in a tutorial, so I am so sorry. The time has finally come that I am now filming one, but I was also waiting to find like the perfect ones in the thrift store, because all of my fabric is thrifted. It is pre-loved, so this makeup bag is made with pre-loved fabric as well. Same with like some of the little vanity buckets that I have that I hold my clips in. I do also have a tutorial on how to make these as well. I have finally collected enough pillow shams and pillow covers and tapestry pieces and everything else, so I finally figured we should definitely make some new ones, especially for my upcoming markets. I do have two of these pillow covers, pillow shams if you will. It is a nice green and yellow. There's so many different patterns in this. We got like the lemons, and then we have like roses, and then the plaid, like so many different. And then this is the back. The ice cream truck. Please tell me you heard that. Like, that's literally the ice cream truck. One, it's literally 8 o'clock at night. Two, it's literally 2 degrees out right now. Who wants ice cream? Apparently somebody does right now. Anyway, that was random. Like, I know it's April 20th, but like, I feel like that's too early. Anyway, so I have two of these, as I already mentioned, but this is the back of it. So it does have the opening here and the tags. I know it is made with 100% cotton. That's so weird, sorry. Step is I am going to move over to the floor, and so I can easily cut this and lay it out flat, and then we'll pin it so we can do a simple straight stitch. I'll show you in a second. So now get out of here. So I'm just going to move along. I'm going to just simply cut as close as possible so I can get rid of this tag. You can always go in and seam rip it too, whichever you prefer. So we have the little opening so I can put my hand in here. So I try to push, because it does have about 2.5, give or take, where this top piece of fabric will be covering. So I try to lay this side as flat as possible. And I'll go back over with the top piece and try to lay it also as flat as possible, because what we are going to do here is, because you don't want an opening, you don't want this opening in your tote bag, we are going to do a simple straight stitch all the way along just to close this. I find it's easy to do this with some pins. We'll pin it in place. Then we'll take it over to the sewing machine, making sure to backstitch at both the beginning and the end. You can either choose to do this now or after you sew the straight stitch across, because you are only doing it from the opening to the end. You don't need to be starting from here and then ending here. It is pretty much, because where my opening is, it starts here and it stops here. So I will only be sewing from here to here. If you are planning on using this edge, because when we make the tote bag, I will be folding it like this, and we will be boxing out the corners. So I want to use this side and this side to turn these into the straps for the bag, because right now it is a little bit too long for my liking, and I just want it just a smidge bit smaller, and that way it will have the matching straps as well. What I will do is I am going to cut all the way along, following this seam here for this side as well as this side. And I'm also going to do the same thing for this piece as well. Choosing to put the label on now, just while it is completely flat, but after sewing the straight stitch, just so you can try to see it on the other side, you can honestly barely see it unless you know. And when we do go and later on box out the corners and stuff, that will be the bottom of the bag, so honestly you won't even see that. It won't be noticeable, and here it is from what will be considered the inside of the bag. So again, very not noticeable. To find the center, I just fold it in half and try to make a little crease. And you can place it as far down as you want. This is if you are choosing to add your own label. So I am going to put it, so I think here would be perfect. And I'm just going to quickly sew this on, making sure to backstitch at the beginning and the end. I do also have a tutorial on how to make your own custom labels at home. It is further down on my channel, but I will also tag it in the description below. There is one label all sewn on. So like the I mainly had to come for bias tape, and I did bring one of the straps to try to color match. Most of the ones that I have that I'm bulk prepping and like making for the tutorial, most of them are going to be using white. So, and all the white, like they have a big sale going on. Like every time, I always look at the emails too, like that's where they'll let you know if they're having like any like 50% off or whatever, but it is their birthday month, as it is mine. By the time you guys see this, it will be like 2 months past my birthday. My birthday's April 29th, and I'll be turning 27. Crazy. Anyway, but they always have different sales, like Fabricland. I'm in Ontario, so Ontario, Canada, not California. So in Canada, we don't have Hobby Lobby, we don't have Joann's, we pretty much just have Fabricland, and it is slowly going away. A lot of stores have been like closing down, unfortunately. We do have a couple, like I say we as in like the Canadian sewist, whatever. Yeah, there's really not, like there's a couple of other like fabric stores like more downtown Toronto, and I'd love to go one day and take you along. I kind of want to do a day trip out of that one day. I just kind of need to figure out where to go. If you do have any other suggestions, like if you shop downtown Toronto for fabric, let me know, because there are a couple that I've seen on TikTok that I'm like, I'd love to go. Anyway, I got some white bias tape. I get the double fold extra wide bias tape. I mainly use a lot of this for my makeup bags, but because we are upcycling the pillow shams into tote bags, we need some of these. You can always do French seams, but I just find it's too bulky, so I just end up opting for the bias tape. And I did get some of the green to match. They had a very limited amount of the green, unfortunately. And I did get some more batting because it was 50% off. Most of the store was between 50 to 60% off, which is absolutely amazing. So I got this for $25. It is 120 inches by 120. It is the soft loft polyester batting. I have been kind of going back and forth between which two colors I want to use for the straps. I did also cut off some of the excess, so each strap is uniform in size. And I want to say, hold on, let me measure. They are 2 inches by 29 inches. I think I'm probably going to use the green for the inside of the bag and then use white for the straps, because like the green still does look nice with the straps, but I just feel like it's a little bit too much contrast. So I'm gonna stick with the white. A lot of explanation just to pretty much say I'm choosing to use the white. I will just lay the bias tape over top, and I like to give myself at least like half an inch of extra on each side, just so we will have a nice clean finished look when we finish the bias tape. If you've never used bias tape before, this is what it will look like as soon as it's out of the package. And I got a double fold. You can get single folds, and honestly, I'm not too sure what else. There is a lot of variety, but it is essentially folded twice. So it is folded in half. There's one, and then you can open it on both sides. So I do fully open it. So essentially, I am going to follow this line because that is essentially where I am going to sew. We're going to try to place it as close to, about like as close as we can to the edge. Grab our clips and just start to clip that in place. I'm going to take all of these to the sewing machine and I'm going to do a straight stitch following that line all the way down, making sure to backstitch at both the beginning and the end for each strap. And keep in mind, we are making 2 bags right now, so that's why I have 4 straps. You can always choose to make, if you don't want to have a 2-strap bag, you can always just do a 1 strap and have the strap, instead of having them on each side, you could just have 1 strap going from one side over here to the other, or you could even do it from one side over here to the other corner. There are plenty of different options of how you can do your straps, and that is always completely up to you. This is a 100% customizable bag, so, and just bear that in mind. Now that the first step of the bias tape has been sewn on, I like to have a full finished seam so there's no fraying or there's no raw edges or anything showing. So in order to do that, there are different ways for you to achieve this same look, but I find this one just works the best for me. I like to go and fold this part down, and I will try to get it as straight as possible, following, making sure this side here is also even. When I go and fold it over, I try to line it up with the other pieces of bias tape, and I try to make sure this part up here is nice and even, because this will, depending on if you're putting the straps on the inside or sewing on the outside of your bag, it will make you want to have a nice finished. And we will do the exact same thing to this side. I'm going to take all of these straps and bring them over to the sewing machine. And I'm going to just do a simple straight stitch, making sure to backstitch at both the beginning and the end. But we are going to just follow along the line and making sure to go all the way down to the end there. Now that the straps are all sewn, we just need to go and cut off all of the loose threads. The bag that I have been showing, you might have noticed that I continued the bias tape all the way along, and that was mainly because this end of the strap was extremely thick and I didn't want to have any issues with trying to push it under the presser foot, so that's why that one is a little bit different. But I do love the look of this, because when you have it in a strap form, it actually is really cute. So this side with my label is going to be considered the front of the bag. How long is this? Oh, it's literally 20 inches exactly. That's perfect. Okay, so what we do to one side of the bag, we are going to do to the exact other side of the bag. Just trying to figure out exactly how far in I want the straps to be. Maybe about 4.5 inches in. So about here. You can either put your straps on the outside or you can sew them on the inside. And what I mean, hold on, let me just clip this. They're gonna continue falling regardless, so it doesn't even matter. But what I mean by that, so for this strap I have it on the outside, but for this strap I could have it on the inside, so that is an option. I don't know, do I want to put them on the outside or the inside? I kind of want to put them on the inside this time. I don't know. I kind of like the look of that. Yeah, we're gonna do that. I like the look of that, to be completely honest with you. So now, I'm gonna flip it around and do the exact same thing to this side. With my straps, they do have, from where considered the back of the pillowcase, pillow sham, it has, it's hard to see, but it has this part from where you would have put the pillow in. So I'm gonna make that the inside of the strap, so the part that is going to rest on your arm or shoulder, you know what I mean. I like to have, so for it will be 4.5 inches. So this part, the edge will be the 4.5 for where your bag straps start. Wow, I grabbed the perfect amount of clips. This always happens, like unintentionally. 2 straps added. I'm just going to sew down, around, and I'll probably do a couple X's, and I'll go around a couple times for each of the straps. I just finished trimming some of the threads, and I have finished also attaching the straps, and I love this. Like, they actually look so good. And not to mention, when you look up close at them, they have the nice X. So now, this is what stage we are at. There's so many loose threads on this one. All I have to do is to obviously sew these sides, which we will do this way. We'll do right sides together. Because this bag is 100% already lined, we don't have to add a lining. You can also add a pocket. I am choosing not to add one. We are going to add the bias tape to the inside of the bag. So this is the exterior. We are going to fold it in half, making sure that both of the sides are lining up. We want to make sure also the top where your straps are also lines up, especially. And this is the point that we will be adding the bias tape. Because we will be boxing out the corners, it doesn't matter if this part is fully covered with the bias tape, because that will eventually be covered when we do go out and box the corners. But I will be doing pretty much the exact same thing. I'm leaving about more of an inch, half an inch of overhang for the bias tape, just so we can have a nice clean finished edge at the top. I'll do the exact same thing of how we did the straps. So I'm just going to lay the bias tape on top of the inside of the bag. We are going to bring this over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to do a straight stitch, making sure to follow along. You might not be able to fully see it, but that same line that we followed when we did the straps. So I'm going to stitch right here, making sure to backstitch at both the beginning and the end. And we will do that for both sides of the bag. This is the point that I do like to double check that we didn't miss any of the seams and that everything looks good on what will be the outside of the bag. Everything looks good on that side. Everything looks good. Also, if you have too much excess fabric, you can always go and trim that. Just be cautious of the bias tape that is on the other side. You don't want to accidentally trim that, because then you will be going back and needing to potentially seam rip and need to redo that whole step, which I have had to do once or twice before. Right now I'm folding the top of the bias tape over so we have a nice clean edge. I will make my way down, covering up where we had sewn and covering up all the raw edges of the fabric. And for the bottom down here, it does not matter if you do the fold. You can just leave it like that for now, because we will be, as I've mentioned 1,000 times at this point, we will be boxing out the corners. That part will get trimmed off in a minute. And I'm just gonna do the exact same thing to the other side of the bag. I also forgot to mention, but I am just using a regular presser foot. You can also use a walking foot as well if your fabric is too bulky, but I find that this one is thin enough that it's completely fine for my sewing machine. I do have the Brother LB 7950. It is a sewing machine and it also does embroidery as well. This is how I have my sewing machine set up. It is just how it automatically sets it up when I turn it on. And there is the dial, whatever, I'm not sure what it's called in this moment in time, so, but yeah, that is my sewing machine. I'm just going to do a simple straight stitch again, making sure to back stitch at both the beginning and the end. So technically you could, if you didn't want to box out the corners, you could just stop here and you would just do the same fold over that you did up top here, that down here. You just make sure that you would have enough excess bias tape to do the fold. And just to show you up close where you might not be able to fully see it, I am not too sure, but I pretty much just stitched along this side after I folded the bias tape over. So I just kind of followed along here. If that is what you wanted to do and you didn't want to box out the corners, you'd essentially just flip your bag inside out, push out the corners as much as possible, and this is essentially what your bag would look like. It is still beautiful having it like this, which honestly, just so you can see for size wise, like still have a decent size room for your straps. When it has the corners cut out, I just find it's nicer that way. That's just my own personal preference. You can do whatever you want because it is going to be your bag. So you can always add other customizations as well. Like you could even potentially add a pocket. You could add like a zipper closure at the top. You could add a little keychain essentially where you can easily find like your keys or whatever. I've done that previously for some of my other bags. Well, one bag I made for the cottage, for when I go up to the cottage and stuff, and it's just a little, made it with these, with this little lobster claw that I got from Amazon, and it does swivel, so I just put, like, it's basically like making a normal keychain or like similar. It's like essentially a strap like this, and you would sew it onto the bag. So that's essentially what it would look like. You could even add like magnetic facets or like closures, whatever those things are called. There's a variety of different things that you can always add to your bag. The options are limitless, and I would love, I'm gonna say this again, but like I would love to see what you end up making with your bag. But right now we are going to box out the corners. So I am just going to line it up with the corner of my mat. This is my little square ruler. So we're doing 3 by 3. So our little box is right there. It's kind of hard to fully see it, but you can kind of get the gist. So I am going to line up this black line with the edge, and then this one along the edge at the top here. And you can either use a pen or a marker or a heat erasable marker. I just use a normal pen because this is going to be hidden anyway, and I'm just going to draw a little line. I try my best to hold the ruler in place as we do this. That looks good. Now we can just draw our line. Now we are going to do the very scary part of cutting into it yet again. I am going to actually double check, and it doesn't hurt to double, triple check. And we are just going to cut where our lines are. we have 2 of the corners all boxed out. Our next step is to add the bias tape and to box them out. I just take the little 2 quarters here, pull them, and then it is best to do this on a flat surface instead of trying to do it mid-air. And I try to flatten out the bag as I do this. That looks good. So we'll just do some micro adjustments. That looks good. I'm just going to temporarily pin it, clip it, and I'm going to take my bias tape and we're going to make sure we have about half an inch extra, maybe about an inch, of bias tape on both sides. So if you're doing a 3-inch squares, you are going to approximately need about 9 inches of bias tape. So I'm going to do another piece and we'll measure that. There's 9. Get our scissors that always end up buried, and we can add the bias tape. We'll do it how we have already done it for the straps and the sides of the bag. And for this little middle piece with the bias tape, you can push it down onto whatever side. You're going to take it to the sewing machine and just do a simple straight stitch directly across following the line. And we are going to make sure to back stitch at both the beginning and the end. Now that the first step of the bias tape has been sewn on, I am going to trim some of the excess fabric because I just don't want it a little bit too thick. And I also take my time sewing over this part of the bias tape as well, just so when you're sewing over it you don't go too fast. I just take my time so I don't end up breaking a needle. And at this point you can also go and double check to make sure all the seam or all the raw edges ended up getting caught. Because if you ended up missing any along here, then you would have to, obviously, you would need to go back and seam rip and then just sew that part as well. So now we are going to fold both sides in and fold the bias tape over. I'm just going to take this to the sewing machine and I'm going to do a simple straight stitch following along the white of the bias tape and making sure to backstitch at both the beginning and the end. So the last thing that needs to be done is to trim the excess threads. And the scissors I am using, they are Fiskars. Here is, if it wants to focus, they're Fiskars curved applique scissors, I believe. I'm not even sure, but I find that I had like ones that were more flat, like essentially like these. I have them somewhere else. I don't know where they are currently, but I got these for Christmas, I believe. I'm not too sure, but I like that they are ever so slightly curved, just so when I am cutting some of the threads, I'm not accidentally snipping the fabric. They are used for embroidery, which my sewing machine is an embroidery machine as well. Anyway, the bag is all finished. This is the final look of the inside. So we got our nice finished seams. We don't have any raw edges. This is the other side. A nice little flip around. I am gonna quickly turn it right side out. And as I do that, I do poke out the corners on both sides. And I always check to see if there's any like loose threads. Yep, here we go. There's one. Just to see if there's like any that got like stuck on the bag as we were sewing. But yeah, this is the final bag. She is absolutely adorable and a perfect way to upcycle a pillow sham into your own custom, one-of-a-kind, sustainable as well tote bag. Like, I'll give you a close-up of her. And like I said before, like, still a good size. Like, even after it's boxed out, like, you have much more room to fit everything else in it. It's also the exact same size as this one. So you still have a decent amount of room. My hand can reach the bottom of the bag. This is the bottom. Like, it's the temptation, like, I already have one. Like, I already have one. I want to keep her. Like, but I have too many bags. And the yellow and green is such a moment. And here's an up close of the straps. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed coming along and learning how to make your own custom, one-of-a-kind, sustainable as well tote bag. I will have a longer form video of me making a whole batch of them for more of my upcoming markets as well. By the time you will see this, it will be 2 months later as well. But I have a nice little stack of them. So we will have a large variety to sell at markets, and I will also post them online on my Etsy page. So if there are any bags that you would like to purchase, you should definitely go over and check that out. I also have a bunch of my other products over there as well, from makeup bags, vanity buckets, wallets, keychains, laptop sleeves, book sleeves, Kindle sleeves, like a variety of items as well. If you are looking for anything custom and you don't sew and you just watch this video for funsies, which I'm here for it. I love that. I'm glad you stayed and enjoyed and watched the whole video. And if you would like your own custom piece, feel free to message me. I do have a variety of different things that I could definitely make for you. I do need to continue working on the other upcycled one-of-a-kind tote bags. You will be seeing that video very soon, so don't you worry. But thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, if you don't follow me on Instagram, you should definitely go over and take a gander. I do post my updated market schedule over there as well. But yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, whether it's morning, evening, or whatever. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!